Hello, and welcome to the Science Fiction and Fantasy Marketing Podcast, the show where we help you establish your author brand, increase the size of your audience, and sell more books. I'm Joe Lalo, and I'm here with my co-hosts.
I'm Jeff Poole.
Yeah, I'm Lindsay Baroker.
And today's guest is going to be returning, Patty Jansen. And let's see if I can get through this. Patty has published over 30 novels and has sold short stories to genre magazines such as Analog Science Fiction and Fact. She joined us about a year and a half ago to talk about how she was able to start growing her writing income to a full-time one, even without any lucky breaks or best-selling hits. She's continued to increase her writing-related earnings using the same strategies, and she wrote a few books about it. The first is Self-Publishing Unboxed, the 3-year no-bestseller plan for making a sustainable living from your fiction. Now over to Lindsay to start our real thing.
All right, so anybody who's watching on YouTube may notice that Patty and I are in the same room, so we're hoping things will go okay, the audio and everything will be okay. She's visiting the US from Australia, so we decided while you're here, why not come on the podcast? But so it's been about a year and a half since we've had you on. I don't know if I should look at you or look at the camera. It's very confusing. Do you have any new interesting developments that you'd like to talk about?
Well, the first, of course, is what you already mentioned, that I wrote the self-publishing books. And this was in reaction to a lot of people asking me for questions, because I kept getting people contacting me on Facebook about how to self-publish. And so I decided to take some time and write those books so that I could point people to what I'm doing and how it works, really. It's nothing that people who are quite experienced don't already know, but mostly for beginners. And yeah, it's mainly those books are geared to people who would email me or would send me messages on Facebook who are just starting in self-publishing. And other than that, I've just continued my series. I don't even remember what I was doing last time. I think I was just releasing my fantasy trilogy, so that's finished. And in the past year, I've just been continuing on with existing series.
I remember you actually started with a K-Boards post that was kind of the same title. I think it was sort of
it was. Yeah,
3 years to, and I think it's really cool, and a lot of people it struck a chord, because even though we all talk about how to launch and like, oh, let's stick on Amazon and let's just go ahead and make 100,000 this month, that's not realistic for most people that expect that. And it's encouraging to know that you can actually make a good income even without sticking on Amazon and being like a huge seller.
Yeah, because that's what people tend to think, that they're going to publish their books and then magically be successful. And for most people, it's not like that.
And it can be discouraging for those who were like, but why didn't it work for me? And maybe it works for 1 in 100 people that just really are kind of ready to the market or just happen to catch the zeitgeist. But what has, you've kind of gone from a hobby income to a full-time income. What are you doing to, keep all these? How many books do you have now?
Oh, I don't even know. I've got a spreadsheet and it has more than 40 titles, but it also has the box sets, which I don't actually, that's cheating. That's not really a new title. So probably somewhere like 38 or something. I really lost count. And every time someone asks me that question, I've got to go to my my spreadsheet and go 1, 2, 3. Because I lost count. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's also more reasonable to believe you could do this full time eventually when you get to the point where you have like 20 novels out.
Yes.
To expect it to just the first trilogy or something to
sell to sell like mad. No, that's just not realistic to even expect it, unless sometimes you see people doing it, but they're usually people who have prior experience in either selling, marketing, or they know exactly where to place their books, and yeah, that happens. But anyone who just comes in and has never sold any fiction before, that's a very small chance that it happens. It does happen, but for most people, it does not.
Right, and it's nice to realize that you probably can get there eventually, even if you don't have the big hit. And I think maybe on her own show, Joanna Penn has mentioned that you know, that 20 books to 50K group, that's probably about right. It's probably going to take about 20 novels to
get
to like the 50K
yes.
year income. Do you think, like, are you just kind of gradually seeing an increase with each new release, or have you had some that stand out and are better sellers than others?
Well, I have 6 series, and there's 2 series that are the mainstay of my income, but I also, because they were more successful, they also are the ones where I spend my money, my advertising money. Recently, I've spent a little bit more time and money into one of the other series because for some reason it suddenly started selling in Europe for some strange reason. And when I see a little bit of success, I try to capitalize on it. But in general, I've had no big breaks, except last year in October, I got a book bub for one of the trilogies, and that was so insanely successful. And I still don't know what happened there. It was one of those things that sometimes happens. Yeah.
All right, now lots of the marketing advice out there involves attempting to get a massive first week and stay on the charts and all that, which, you know, as the title of your book would suggest, isn't your method. But with the attempt to get a big release and to stick, it's pretty easy to gauge the success of that because you can just look at your ranks and your sales numbers and see if they hit a certain threshold. When you're sort of going for a slower burn and a more sustainable without peaks income, what sort of things do you track to see if your techniques are working? Because it seems like the results will be a little more subtle.
Money in the bank. There is
excellent reason.
Yeah, there's 2 things that I look at. That is my net sales and money in the bank. That's really the most important thing. To see if something works, you just track how much you make and subtract any ads that you did. That's really all there is to it. I don't look, at rankings so much because I sell, even on Amazon, I sell usually about half not in the US, and the rankings really matter nothing for, my US rankings are usually pretty poor. And but I sell quite a lot in UK and Australia and Canada and Germany, even in France. Yeah, so rankings mean nothing to my sales.
Right. It's interesting because that is literally all you really need to know in order to know that you're making a living. So it's kind of funny where it's like, well, no, you can strip away all the complex stuff and just get down to the bare tax. Is it harder to see trends when you're sort of not seeing the huge sales numbers in any one place or not seeing big ranks?
Well, it's actually easier to see them because when you have a quite high baseline sales, if you're doing something, then it's much harder to see a result of something that you're doing. And if you you have an ad and all of a sudden, like this past month, I've just had an absolutely amazing month on Kobo, and I know why that is because I got into one of the promotions. And for some reason, sometimes they do absolutely nothing, and sometimes they just take off and just run away with the whole circus, which is what the one did that I had last week. And you can't tell why, but it's pretty easy to tell when that happens. Yeah, and things like that are actually quite easy to tell that when a site or when you've had some good ads, you can tell where it comes from. There's just a lot more different places that you've got to look at.
Real quick there, Patty, I've actually got a comment I'm going to relay to you from one of our viewers by the name of Jen Holland. She says, I just want to say how much I appreciate the work Patty puts into her promos. Hers is one of the best.
Okay.
But okay, on to my question. Okay, since you've clearly been studying the numbers and selling techniques of others, have you found or discovered anything that you find absolutely remarkable that works amazingly well, and conversely, things that just don't work worth a crap, essentially?
Well, what I've actually, basically I've got to thank Mark Dawson for, his concentrating on mailing lists, because that's made all the difference to me. What doesn't work anymore, I don't buy any ads anymore except for BookBub when I can get it, when they'll have me. And strangely enough, now I'm selling a little bit more. I get in quite regularly. But all the other, the little ad sites, I don't know if you guys use them, but I hardly use them anymore at all. Any of the free Booksy or bargain Booksy or, you know, ENT I haven't used for 2 years. And I just haven't used them because I haven't seen any lasting effect from those ads.
All right, yeah, I still use eReader News today and bargain. I think I like free Booksy for the free one. It is hard with the smaller ones because a lot of them charge not as much as BookBub, but a lot for like
disproportionate.
Right. Yeah. Like I'll get 40,000 downloads from a free BookBub ad, and they get maybe 1,000 or 2,000 over for something that costs $100.
Yes. Yeah.
So it just depends. I'll do it if I can't get the BookBub sometimes, or
yeah,
or if I'm doing a promo. With
what I will do if I can't get a BookBub and I still want to make my book free or make it cheap, is I'll go and swap mailing list mentions with a lot of other authors, and that actually works really well, and it's just as cheap.
Or cheaper.
It's really cheap. Yeah, it's really free, or, you know, usually you don't, or you have to just return the favor at some point or do something else for them. But yeah.
Well, maybe in case people didn't catch the last episode, I think we talked about your promos, monthly promos on there, but could you explain some of the things you're doing? Those are kind of for you and also for other authors in science fiction and fantasy.
Yeah, so what I do that I haven't actually been running them so regularly in the last 6 months or so because of travel and other commitments. But I'll start again in March. Is I do a monthly promotion, and that's held on a part of my website, where we just all get together with authors and either make our books free or make them 99 cents. And then we all mention it to our own lists and advertise or mention it on Facebook or Twitter or whichever other social media sites that you're a member of and where you want to mention it. And yeah, we usually sell quite a lot of books, and people, our readers really appreciate it because it's a promo that's directed to readers rather than, it's not author centric. We want to direct it to readers because readers like free and cheap books, so that's what we try to offer them. And it's not so much about the authors taking part. So I'll make sure that there is a nice selection. I'll make sure that all the books that take part have nice covers and that they look good and everything. And then I've limited to 100 books just to reduce the amount of work it takes from me, but also because I don't want to see the same books month after month. And then there is another newsletter I do, which is actually my private promotions newsletter, where I ask other people for either free or new or cheap books, where they can subscribe. The people who subscribe are usually the people who are interested in promotions and free books. And that goes out about once every week. It's not regular, so usually one week it's on a Tuesday, 1 week it's on a Wednesday, and then it's on a Thursday, and then it might go back to Monday or something like that. But that's another thing I do, which I actually do for myself because I do a few sneaky things behind the scenes with it. But it is also for myself because then people will return the favor for me. So when I have a book that's 99 cents and I only need to ask and say, well, who wants to run this book for me? And then they all hold up their hands, people who I have featured before. So it's a kind of like paying back kind of newsletter. So those are the two things that I do.
Yeah, I think it's really great when you kind of give back to the author community before you ask for anything.
Yes.
So I'll get pitched by people like, hey, your book's selling real well this week, and I got an epic fantasy coming out.
Yeah.
Do you mind plugging it? And I'm like, well, what have you done for me?
Yeah. Well, it's not so much that, but I like plugging books that I believe in, where I know the people. So, if Lindsay, if any of you guys comes to me and say, oh, I have a new release, would you like to mention it to this newsletter? I go, sure, go ahead, return the favor whenever. I don't really care whether you do or not, sort of thing. And because I want to send those people on that newsletter, I want to send them good offers, but I want to send them books that I believe in. So first I select the books, and then those people who have been featured will then return the favor at some point, or maybe not, but I don't care, because I want that newsletter to give value to readers rather than to be about authors advertising their stuff.
It's kind of neat that you set it up as like a little book club rather than, the main reason I don't plug people's stuff most of the time is because I haven't read it. And
yes,
my relationship with my readers is very, like, they take it as a recommendation.
Yes.
And so I don't know, is it something I would actually read or not? It may be very well written, but I'm not comfortable plugging it to my list. So I've done some different things. Like I did on your promo site, I was like, hey guys, if you have a free or free in KU book, I'm going to make a blog post. And maybe this works for me because my blog is like 8 years old at this point and gets a lot of traffic. And I actually saw, I used affiliate links if they didn't give me a link. Some of them wanted to track stuff and gave me their links, and that was fine. But I actually saw that I sold some of the books for people, even though I was plugging it as a free. For free in KU. So there's some creative ways to, and what I've been in your promos, in the end of the month, 99¢, or I think you've done free. Or
I have done free, yes. Well, main reason why I stopped doing the free ones was the trouble with the affiliate links, because I actually pay that site. I had to upgrade my website and I had to upgrade my mailing list. And the largest part of the mailing list is through this promo thing that I do. And so that gets paid for by the affiliate links. And because, I'm doing it for the authors. I'm doing it a little bit for myself, but I'm not, a charity. I don't want to make money, but I don't want to put huge amounts of money into something like that.
Or time, because I think I put 25 books on my post, and you do like 100.
I do 100, but I developed a really good method. My husband is awesome. He is a computer programmer, and I asked him for a solution, and he said, why don't you do this with a spreadsheet? So I get all the people, they enter the stuff in Google Forms, and that goes into a spreadsheet, and with one click of a button, I make that page, copy paste, drop it into the WordPress page, and it's done. It just takes no time whatsoever.
Oh,
it's really easy.
Yeah.
And so I've since started making my, there is actually, I've got a free book in that self-publishing series, which is going wide. It is, there is a link to an example of the spreadsheet in it. But the things most people don't think of, think of spreadsheets as calculating money, but you can generate a HTML website or web page with it, and which is what it does. And that's an example of how you can do blurbs and keep up to date with all your like links on different sites. So lately I've added a few things, and all I need to do is just pick up one column and just throw it in a WordPress page, and it's done. I don't need to go and find the code and make mistakes, as we all do.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good tip.
But it's actually not that easy to figure out, and it requires a lot of thinking. But I do that with spreadsheets. So the page gets made with a spreadsheet, which is why it's fairly easy for me to do. It doesn't actually take that much time. But with the books that I select are the ones where I actually, unless I know the writer, when I know the writer, I will just go like, yeah, that's fine, that's fine. I look at the cover, and then I will look at the look inside. I'll look at the formatting. I'll look at the writing. I'll look at the editing. And if that all looks fine to me, I can't look at the plot because I haven't read the book, and I'm not advertising these books on the basis that I recommend them. It's just that I can see that obviously someone has put time into making it a quality product, and whether people like it or not, I mean, if not, they've only lost 99¢. So, yes.
Patty, I have a question for you regarding something you're talking about before. It says, it's from Kim. She says, does Patty mean that she also doesn't use Facebook, or I would imagine American Amazon ads? You can tell I don't want to say the word, right?
I do. I was just telling Lindsay I've got a couple of Facebook ads running, but they're only for Getting subscribers, because I've found that the most effective. I have been selling some books, but I find it much better to have subscribers. And I've got AMS ads running. They're running all the time, and sometimes Amazon deigns to show them, and sometimes they don't. And I just go like, yeah, whatever. If they don't show my ads, I'm not paying anything either. So I just, I have those, yes.
And one other quick question from another one of our viewers by the name of Karen, and she writes, and I quote, "Has Patty thought about selling her Hubbies app?"
It's not an app. It's a spreadsheet, and it's actually linked to in the free book, or that's 99 cents in Amazon, because Amazon does not like making free a book that is about selling on non-Amazon sites. Well, fancy that. So they refuse to make it free for me. But if you go to Kobo or Apple or Barnes & Noble, or you go to what else, Google Play, you can get it for free at Amazon. It's 99 cents. It's a book that is about going wide, and Amazon refuses to make it free. But it actually has a link to the spreadsheet in it. It has an example of how I do it. You just have to figure it out. It's not that intuitive, to be honest.
I wouldn't have guessed you could do that.
No, but you can do it, and it's really easy to do once you know how to do it. But you got to be shown how to do it first.
Yeah, it's funny how many things that you don't realize how useful they are until someone tells you the magic words to get it to work.
Exactly.
All right, now, actually, Lindsay was going to ask a question that I'm following off of, so I'm going to just mention that apparently you are selling advanced copies of books on your personal website.
Oh, not yet, but I am selling books on my website. I think I started last month. I sold about $100 worth, which I thought was pretty excellent. I haven't sold any for the last few weeks, but then again, I've been traveling, so I haven't actually done anything I haven't sent any newsletters or anything. The idea is to sell it to my people on my mailing list. So what I intend to do, well, this is a plan. I'm not quite sure whether I'll get cold feet, but what I'd like to do with my next series, which will be, I'll plan 3 books. I'll finish the first, and because I'm impatient, I like publishing it straight away, but I'll publish it only to my website. Then I'll let my readers know it's available. Then I'll write book 2 and I'll publish that to my website, and then I'll publish book 3 to my website. People can buy it off my website. Then I'm going to take them all off, and I might try putting them in KU for 3 months, and I'll be upfront with people because a lot of people on my mailing list don't actually buy in KU, so I want I just want to tap that audience. So I'll have it in KU for 3 months, and then I'll take them out and I'll put them all on all websites, because I found that once you've put them out to pasture, it's pretty hard to call them all back again, and you get into all sorts of trouble with, all sorts of French sites that you didn't even know existed that still maintain a listing for your book, even though you can't find it anywhere on there, and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's definitely when I'm asked to give advice about going wide, I'm always like, go wide after exclusive, not the other way, because it's astounding how many little stores end up with your book in them.
Yeah.
All right. So on the subject of selling copies on your site, I've gotten emails about, and I've gotten just comments about it, usually from authors who are earlier in their career, who are worried about that sort of thing leading to piracy. Do you think that selling advanced copies or selling copies direct from your website is potentially poaching your own sales because of leaked copies being pirated?
Well, why shouldn't they be pirated when they sell them on Amazon? It happens all the time. You get these serial returners. They read book after book after book, and I'm pretty sure they just put them straight on pirate sites. I really don't see the difference. What I do see is potentially that when you sell books on your site and someone pirates them, you know who they are.
All right. So, okay. So my question for you, with once I saw what Joe was going to ask there with regards to piracy, do you feel it's worth your time as an author to peruse these torrent sites looking for your work and filing the appropriate DMCA claims to get it removed? I mean, I've actually done it once myself, where I glanced through and I've found, I think, 4 of the ones I had on there. So I don't know if I should be both insulted and flattered at the same time, but I did, file all the stuff to get it removed. And for the record, they removed it just for it to pop up on like 3 other, sites there. So I was wondering what your take is on that.
Well, in the first place, a lot of these sites that claim to have your books that are pirated don't actually have the books. They just have a link. They just have the Smashwords, free sample, and they'll link to the Smashwords PDF. They don't actually have your book. They're phishing sites, and they only want your credit card details. So, I mean, a lot of people go, oh, my book's been pirated, and then you go to the site and all they want, when you go to the site, you get pop-up after pop-up after pop-up, and all these sites want is to plant viruses on your computer, or they want to get your credit card. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't really believe in chasing pirates, because most of them don't actually have your book. In the second place, from your website, I just really don't think it's worth your time to start chasing them, because they will steal. These people don't buy your books. They just, I don't know. I just really don't think it's worth your time start trying to go down that way, because I mean, it's like playing whack-a-mole with them. There's nothing you can do anyway. They want your books, they're going to get them anyway. And yeah, well, to be honest, I don't really care.
Yeah, I've never even done a cease and desist letter or anything. There it is. That's all right. Yeah. So I'm curious, because I'm going to ask the question that I think a lot of people ask me when I started a Patreon page to do something similar, to release advanced reader copies. Are you worried that by putting them out on your site to your newsletter subscribers, kind of your biggest core fans, that you will diminish your chance to do well when it's time to release on Amazon because I already have it?
Well, actually what I've done is, and I'm in the process, I will do a bit more of it, because I don't expect to release any of these books until probably about May or June at the very earliest. What I'm going to do is, I asked them, my newsletter subscribers, the question, where would you buy these books? And so I had underneath, I had 3 buttons that said I would buy them on, I would get them on NKU, I would get them from your website, or I think there were 4 buttons. So I would get them through another website, not Amazon site, or I would just buy them on Amazon. And underneath those buttons, I had the little link tracking things. I put them in different groups. So now I have groups that say website, KU, non-Amazon. So all these people went into different groups according to what they clicked. So now I have a group of readers that I will continue to grow until I actually release the book. I will send them the email and they will buy on my website. I will probably dilute some of the Amazon rankings, but as I already said, I'm not really sure I care about it. I don't actually, what I want to do with releasing in KU is attract new readers. So I actually don't want my mailing list subscribers to get them in KU, even though I'm offering the option. I prefer if they bought it on my website or they bought it on any of the other retailers. So I'm going to send them these emails according to what they clicked. And so the people to offer the book for sale on my website is for people who like to get the copies early, and for people who don't use KU and want to buy the book, and people who want to support me. So it's, yes, maybe that might happen a little bit, but you know, as I already said, Amazon US is really not my biggest market anyway, so I'm not really sure whether I need to worry too much about it, because with going in KU, I want to attract new readers who aren't on my mailing list.
All right, cool. And I found that in my case, it actually didn't even matter.
Oh, right.
Because I was putting enough advertising this first during the launch week, and I had a couple people promoting in the newsletter, and I think it had a nice dragon on it. We talked about it on the show.
Yes.
And I know you've got dragons.
Oh,
I saw your banner. That's why we're asking these questions, because you've got it in your keyboard signature. But I found that I think I got about 125 Patreon subscribers, either doing 5 or 10 to get the ARCs.
Yes.
And it's a relatively small number compared to how many people bought the book.
Yeah.
So it didn't really affect, it didn't dilute anything that I could tell. So that was good. And I let people know that, like, if they buy that way, I get like 90%,
yes,
or 95% instead. So it's, I think, and I'm curious because a lot more authors seem to be doing this.
Yes, yes. Yeah, they are. It's the latest thing. But I also think it's because BookFunnel has started to do the sales option, which is what I'm doing. Yeah. Yeah,
we've got Damon coming on in a week or two, so I'm totally going to pump him.
Yes.
For me in the U.S., we have to apparently collect sales tax for the state that the person bought it in. So I'm going to ask them what people are doing to not have to deal with that.
Yeah, which is there is an option called PayHip, and they will do it for you.
Yeah.
I haven't actually activated that yet because it's I'm in the trial phase, and we don't have that option, only for when people are in Australia, which I have activated, which they have to pay GST, but people outside Australia, the tax office doesn't care about that. So yes.
Yeah, so I'll be curious because I like the idea of selling direct on my website too. Although Patreon offers kind of a community thing within it for the subscribers, which is kind of neat. Somebody posted fan art on there yesterday.
Oh, that's good.
That's the coolest thing. And they drew me a dragon.
Yeah.
And also, because Patreon takes PayPal, I feel like everybody has PayPal right now.
Yes.
Like I don't have PayHip.
No.
So I'm afraid that might be a deterrent.
PayHip is it's a little bit of a misnomer. Actually, they're a delivery system. You can also put audiobooks on it, which BookFunnel doesn't do at the moment. So PayHip is just a way to get people. They do PayPal, and they accept credit cards, and they do all the payment options for you. So they are a delivery system like BookFunnel, except they do the tax. They have the tax option. They take 5%, and they do audiobooks, and also creative files like art and stuff like that. So they have a number of different options where BookFunnel only does ebooks. So that is quite attractive to some people. And I've actually got an account. I've got to fiddle a bit with it because I also want to do audiobooks. I really dislike Audible.
Well, now more people are not choosing the exclusive with Audible since we are seeing a few more options. So that would, I'm sure my readers would love some of them that aren't on the Audible credit system.
Yes.
If they could come get an audiobook for $1.99 for book one on my site, they'd be excited. All right, I'll be checking into that, everyone. Take note. Lindsay is checking into PayHip.
Yep.
I don't bring it up again. Remind me. All right, we've already been talking a lot about the marketing stuff, but we're going to have some mailing list specific questions since you are doing, quite a lot with that side of things. You're doing more than just, here's my author mailing list. So let me ask, between your mailing list and your experience, what are some mistakes that you see authors making?
Lack of patience. What I see is that a lot of people have they don't understand that when they take part in a group promotion and they get a bunch of email addresses, they don't understand that those people are not your fans. So I will frequently see people talking about, I have this mailing list and it has like 2,000 or 2,500 subscribers.
25,000.
Yeah, or however many, that many, but I would think that by that time they would actually cotton on to this. They have so many subscribers, and I send out an email for a new book and hardly anyone buys it. Well, these people are not actually yours yet. And so these people are expecting those people to be their fans, which they are not. These people sign up to get a prize or to win a book or to win something. And they are not your fans. They have given you their email address just so that you can send them stuff. They are okay with you sending them stuff. But it's up to you to make them actually read your books and make them your fans. And they have to, you have to send them a number of things, and it might take a while for them to read or to unsubscribe. I mean, but either is not a problem. You want them to either start buying your books or get out of there, and that takes time. It takes time for a list like that to start, giving you consistent results. I've been doing this since probably 2014, and I've now worked up to the point where when I send out a new release, I actually sell some significant number of books, but that took a while, and people are impatient. They expect immediate results, and they expect these people that they get from giveaways or Insta freebie or something to be their fans, and they are not.
Right, and it's like you can move them along that line, like you're saying, maybe you show them, here's book 2,
exactly,
or here's another free box set, or something.
But you've got to do that. You can't expect them to just, go from Insta freebie to immediately buy all your other books. In the first place, you've got to give them time to read the books that you might give them for free, and then you've got to expect that most of them actually won't be interested. And you have to continuously work your way through these people and to make sure that you keep the ones that are good and get rid of the ones that are not. So people are impatient. They expect those people to be, their fans immediately. Yeah.
Do you actually mail them more often to get rid of the ones that?
Oh yeah.
That you encourage them to unsubscribe.
Oh, exactly.
Well,
mailing them more often is the best way to get rid of the ones who don't want to be there. And, you don't need to be salesy. You were just mailing them, because every time you send a mailing, you get a whole bunch of them unsubscribe. And that's a good thing, because it's a self-cleaning thing. A lot of people also, that's another mistake that I see people make, is that they get upset when people unsubscribe. And it's like it's a personal insult that someone will unsubscribe. And you get unsubscribes all the time. And to be honest, I mean, if you think about how you react when, say, you buy something and then this online company starts sending you emails, and you might buy something else, and after a while you go like, oh, I've already got all these things, then you unsubscribe. I mean, it's a process that people go through. It's not that they hate you, but they might still recommend you to someone else. It's not a bad thing that people unsubscribe. It's actually a good thing, because that means they don't want to get your emails anymore, which means you don't pay for them. Yeah.
All right, Patty, I've got another viewer question for you. This one is from Natalie. She asks, for the books you sell on your website, how many copies do you keep as stock?
I don't, because I sell ebooks.
Yeah,
that's an easy question.
A lot more work if you're actually having to fulfill paperback orders. And
I do have some paperbacks on there, but there were ones that were there already, so I honestly can't answer that question. I put some paperback copies on because last year I went to a couple of cons where I had tables. This year I'm not going to any, so I thought, I might as well whack some of these on my website, but nothing has happened yet. The ones I've sold are all ebooks.
All right, now back to talk about mailing lists. There are metrics for mailing lists, as there is with everything else, like open rates and click rates. Do you keep track of the open rates and click rates and whatnot for your emails to see what's doing well and what isn't?
Yes and no. Because I actually don't really think that open and click rates are that important. What actually matters most is the number of people who read your emails and the number of people who open the emails. The rates themselves tend to vary quite a lot from one mailing to the other. And sometimes you can tell why, and sometimes it's just totally random, and sometimes it has to do with the time of year or or the weather, or maybe Gmail didn't feel like delivering your emails to people's inboxes, and some other time it does for whatever weird reason that lives inside the internet. And sometimes it's, yeah, I mean, there's quite a lot of variability in those rates. So actually, I wouldn't say I disregard them, but I don't think they're terribly important.
Yeah, it's good to hear, because I know a lot of people like live and die by those numbers, and just by the rules of large numbers, once you have an increasing number of subscribers, the open rates and click rates are going to go down a bit. Just because,
yes, naturally, yes, and naturally, because, and it doesn't mean that people aren't interested. It's just that they've already seen a lot of your emails. So, for example, there is one company they send me emails like once a week or something. And I never opened those emails. I bought something from them, which was a banner I put on a table at a con. But I don't want to forget their name, so I keep their emails. I could easily unsubscribe, but then I know I'd forget who they are. And I've already recommended a number of people get their stuff there because they're cheap and they're quite quick. But I never opened their emails, so it doesn't really mean anything.
Okay, so my question for you is, if a first-time author approaches you and asks what program they should install or subscribe to, and in order to start managing their subscribers, what do you tell them?
I tell them, yeah, I mean, there's a number of different ways you can go. It really depends on what you want with your list. There's like the high-end option. You can go with something like ConvertKit or Aweber or MailChimp. They're quite expensive. Their the number of subscribers will make it, yeah, when you get more subscribers, it will become quite expensive very quickly. And then there's a whole number of sort of low-cost options. And it really, what you choose really depends on what you want with your list, what you're going to do with it. I suspect that for the vast majority of writers, the low-cost option will be more than sufficient.
And that goes for the same if you have a large list as well?
Yeah, if you have a large list, it becomes even more important. I know some people have very large lists and they're on expensive providers, but that is because they also do other things quite often. They also have courses, or they sell other things that makes it worth their while. The thing with the more expensive list providers is that they provide a whole lot of stuff that, because we sell through third parties, we can't use. It means, you know, they do like sales tracking. We can't use it because the retailers are never going to give us their data, whether someone has actually bought this thing. So you never got to get any feedback from Amazon whether this subscriber has actually bought your book. So all their sales tracking and other options, they're useless to us. So I can't see why you should need to pay for them. But on the other hand, if you offer things like courses or even online courses or videos or things like that, then it might be worth doing, because they offer more options in sales tracking and then targeted ads to people who are interested in those things. But for most writers, that really makes no sense to pay that much for their mailing list provider.
Yeah, I found that it shouldn't, that I see the prices now, and I've talked about on here before, I'm kind of grandfathered with Aweber because I've been with them for like 10 years, and I've got like between 3 lists over 20,000. But I only recently just started charging $10 a month when I went over 20 or something. But in general, as an author, if you have a big list, you should have the sales that are going to make it kind of what's the word? Infinitesimal. Like, who cares if it costs $200 a month because you're making 20,000. So, but if you've done a lot of the promo stuff and you've gotten a lot of your subscribers from Insta Freebie, that's kind of where I think I see people stressing out about the cost of how much it costs to have these subscribers. So, and I think Patty's idea to kind of try to weed some of those people out if they're not going to become buyers someday might be a good idea.
Well, or move to a provider that's really cheap.
There you go.
Yes. So, but you got to realize that those are your options. Either you increase, but this is how I run my list. I look at the cost of the list per month or year or whatever period you want to use, and then I look at how much I sell from my new releases, and that is all through the list. Like in the first month or so from my new releases. So if you have this many new releases per year, say you have 4, and for each, I mean, I'm just pulling numbers now out of my head. You have 4 new releases per year, and for each of those new releases, you can count on 500 sales from your list. You know that the 500 sales at $2.99 will make you $1,000. You have $4,000, and that's income from your list, and your list should not cost you more than that. And so if it means that you have a list that has 40,000 people on it, and you're on MailChimp, you're in the wrong place. If your list is only 4,000 people, and they're all subscribers that either you've weeded out so aggressively, but I don't think you can do this, or they're all like back of book signups, people who are true fans, and for every release you sell 500 books, then you're perfectly fine at ConvertKit or Aweber or MailChimp. But if your list is really big, you should really be moving to somewhere cheaper, because if you're only selling $4,000 a year, your list should not be costing more than that.
Right. So it's a little different if you want to do like the book club model.
Yes.
Versus you just want to gather your true fans that bought at least one of your books. And that's where you're not going to get in trouble with the cost of the mailing list, because it's going to scale, and the sales you make from it are going to be equal to the increase in subscriber size.
So this is what I said, what I meant by that you really need to know what you're going to do. If you just want back of book signups, your list will grow very slowly, especially in the beginning. It will grow painfully slowly, frustratingly slowly. And that's fine, but you will have a very high percentage of people buying your books. If you want to start gathering a lot of subscribers through either MailChimp or through either Insta Freebie or through cross promos and that sort of stuff, you can expect small open rates. You can, especially in the beginning, small open rates, a lot of unsubscribes. You can expect very small sales from any of the mailings that you do for new releases. And so in the beginning, you've really got to scale down your costs. You can go to a cheap provider. I mean, personally, I'm at MailerLite. I absolutely love them, even though they have their moments, but I love them. And but you can even go to Sandy, which is Amazon web services run, and it costs very little, but you've got to set it up on your website, and the interface is kind of ugly. Yeah, it's a little bit do it yourself, but some people are quite happy doing that, and you can send millions of emails and it'll cost you like a couple of bucks. It's almost nothing.
All right. Now, the question I was going to ask has sort of been answered, but I have a different question now. Let's say, for example, you started off with, your mailing list is starting to grow, and you're not satisfied that you're making enough directly from your mailing list to pay for something like MailChimp. Do you just start a fresh list over someplace else, or do you migrate? Like, what would that process be exactly?
Well, when I did mine, I was with MailChimp, and I grew quite unhappy with them after they stuffed up my automation. I probably had about 12,000 people on MailChimp, so that was costing me $150 a month, which I was frankly getting a bit ridiculous. I actually started a fresh list first, and then I slowly migrated all the people. First, I took all the people off MailChimp who had already been through the automation, and then I started from the back, and it was actually quite a complicated process. It's not that easy. It took about 4 to 5 months before I had them all you know, into the places I wanted them to be. And yeah, it's not easy. It really isn't.
Okay, so with regards to, I heard you just mention that when you were with MailChimp, and it was costing you, like, what was you say, $150 every single time you sent out a mailing?
No,
So
a month.
Oh, a month. Okay. So my question would be, how often do you feel authors should send out messages to their subscribers? Only for releases, and if so, what if you're only an author who releases one title a year?
I feel that you should send however often you promised. So what you do is when people sign up for your list, you tell them what you're going to do and you stick to that. So I usually tell them you can expect an email roughly once every 2 weeks. I find that most comfortable. And some people say, oh, you will get an email every Friday, or other people say, I will only email you when I have a new release. And that's what you have to do, what you promise them. However often you want, if someone wants to sign up for your list and then the author says, I'll send you emails every week, and people say, well, that's too often, then they don't subscribe. But you've got to promise them, stick to your promises. So if all of a sudden you get bitten by some sort of bug and you want to do something else, you've got to start a new list. If all of a sudden you want to start a promotions list, like the one that I started sending out different things, sending out promotions. I started an entirely new list for that because I really didn't want to send that to my regular people. I did encourage quite a lot of them to come across, and they did, but they are two different lists.
All right, so is a mailing list something that should be seeing constant growth, or more to the point, if you're not getting new signups every day, should you be worried?
Well, it depends again what sort of list you have, but yes, I would be worried because there's going to be drop-off, a natural drop-off. Well, so like marketing courses, they consider the natural drop-off of a list to be 20% a year. I'm not quite sure whether that's true for authors, probably more so for some authors than for others, but even if you have gathered your list from only back of book signups, there will be drop-off. Because, you know, people just, they have already read everything, or they move somewhere else. It's like your favorite TV show, but it's like you get a little bit tired of it, or, people die. Stuff like that happens.
So, or you get like the email from the wife or something. Could you please unsubscribe to me passed away?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, people disappear all the time, even if your list is purely organic. And so you should always be working on the other end. You should always try it. That should always be one of your major focuses to get new subscribers onto your list.
And like, let's say you're drying up, like what is something you would suggest? What is if you're mostly organic, what is sort of a campaign that you can do to try to get your signups happening again?
Well, I would put a pinned post on Facebook, and I would give a free story. I would, make sure it's in the back of all the books, and make sure that Amazon doesn't put their horrible, the end page. If you finish this, then read that. I'm sorry, I don't read on Amazon, so I'm not quite sure what it looks like. But there's this page that. So in that case, when I see that sort of stuff happen, I usually re-upload my book, because that gets rid of their Amazon prompt, and so that people will actually see it again. Also, another thing you should absolutely make sure you do is to put your sign-up information in the front as well as the back of the book, and it's even better to put a picture with it to make it clickable picture. And then I don't know if it's purely organic. I would also put a sign up on as a pinned post on Twitter. But then you can take part in these like Insta freebie or something, but that's not organic. So that's a
I put sell more books in the comments.
Sell more books. That too.
I mean, obviously,
sell more books.
Yeah, if it's in the back of your book, just sell more books and you'll be good.
Yeah, and get a book club.
It's true because you will see a huge spike in newsletter signups.
Yes,
whether
true.
it's after book club or if you have a new release that's selling well.
Another thing is what I actually, if you want mailing list signups, rather than sales, but if you have a choice of getting a sale or a mailing list sign up and then getting a sale, I would advise people not to do pre-orders. If they do a series, you put the link to your sign up in the back of the book. Then that link, you use pretty links from which is an editable smart link in the back of the book. And it says, if you want to know more about the next book in the series, click here or something. They click to that. They go to your website, and then you give a little story about the book. And then at the end, you'll be notified when it comes up and when it comes out, and then they can sign up. You get a lot of sign-ups through that. Otherwise, you'll just get a pre-order, and you still don't know who these people are. So when then a book after that comes out or something similar, or you're doing a spin-off series, you can't email them because you don't know who they are. And that is the value in having an email list, is knowing who these people are.
That's a good point. Go ahead, Jeff. Sorry.
That's all right. Actually, my question, I actually have yet another viewer question. This one from Stephen Atwood, jumping backwards a little bit, but he says, I thought I heard Patty say that she used WordPress when she sells her books. Assuming there are ebooks, what plugin does she use?
What? I didn't hear that one.
WordPress blog. Are you using a plugin to link
to? Yeah, it's called WooCommerce.
Oh, WordCommerce?
WooCommerce.
WooCommerce. Okay.
Yeah, it's all one word.
All right.
So she's looking over my shoulder.
It's all one word. It's free.
All right. And I have one quick other question from Jin, who writes, and I just real cute message on here, or question. What is your favorite way to find new readers? Did I miss that?
To find new readers. My favorite way to find new readers, I guess, I mean, through my mailing list and through Insta Freebie, and now at the moment I'm loving some of the ads I'm doing on Facebook. Advertising in some less, common countries, and I'm having absolute whale of a time with South Africa. I've got a lot of people in South Africa because they never get advertised to. If they buy on Amazon, they have to pay. I don't know whether Amazon abolished that, but at some point they had to pay like a $2 delivery fee. They don't have KU. So they can't, they feel neglected, and they love it when they get advertised to, and they love the free books and things. And so, yeah, that's been really good. And I get a lot of comments on those ads too, and people like CC their entire book club on it.
Now you'll have all this competition because people are listening to this. Like, nobody ever talks about South Africa.
Yeah, I know. It gets mentioned a bit, but it's a very small market, so you have to just be patient.
And do you send them directly to your site?
Yes.
So they can't do Amazon or
No, because they're mailing list signups.
Okay, so you're just trying to get them, here's a free book. And
here's a free book. Okay. And people love it because their books are, in general, they're expensive. Their bookshops are not very good. There's a couple of countries in Europe too where their bookshops are not very good. The books fantasy and science fiction books rarely get translated in those languages, so they quite often will read them in English anyway. They just love that sort of stuff. And they never get free books because even in a country like Germany, they actually prohibit free books. I don't get it either. They don't, the industry doesn't like free books. And so you can't, your books, how when you make a book free on Amazon, the European ones will never stick. Well, that's why, because there's actually rules against sort of non-competition sort of thing. It's really strange.
Yeah, I love this tip about South Africa. And I mentioned it, I think, last week too, that I actually, with my recent release, I got way higher in the stores in Canada and Australia.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
There's no AMS ads to target
Yeah.
those guys. I mean, some people are doing like you are on Facebook and doing specific ads for those countries, but I just think in the US right now, you're competing against so many people
Yes.
who are throwing a lot of advertising money at it that it's hard to like naturally stick in the top, whatever, you know, in your top 100 for your category.
Yeah.
All right, my last question for me, since we've been chatting for an hour, is what kind of autoresponder sequence do you use to send out? I'm going to assume you do because you're the pro.
Yeah.
Follow-up broadcasts to your people.
It depends. I have about 115 at last count, and they all do different things. And I've actually learned since MailChimp stuffed up one of my really long auto sequence, the processes, and I had like, I can't even remember how many emails, but it just, to keep them short, I'll keep them to about 3 or 4 emails maximum, and then to have a different one for each subject. So when someone comes into my mailing list by either signing up or through signing up through BookFunnel or InstaFreebie, they get a series of 3 emails, which is basically just an introduction. And at the end of that, they get a couple of other options, and then some of them will lead to other sequences, and some of them don't, and some of them will just put people in a different group. So I have a group for newsletters or for new releases only. I have groups for people reading on different platforms, and I will send them follow-ups if they click certain links. And the follow-ups themselves are usually only sometimes 1 or sometimes 2 emails. Then I have a little self-publishing course, which is just talking through the basics of what you want to do, and people just go through that all the time. But that's actually an automation sequence, so people can go through it, whenever they get to that point in the system. And sometimes I will advertise and I say, "But do you know that I have this?" And there's a few things like that. There's also, I have a sequence that's actually 6 emails, which talks about how and why I wrote the books and sort of some of the background, and some people are interested, and I'll have a few other ones, just for fun things. And then I have the ones that follow on from when they click certain links in my emails about books, especially if they're the first book of the series. It'll tell them, like, after a number of weeks, it will say, "Oh, you downloaded book 1, here's book 2," or I'll tell them something about book 2 or something else like that. So I have a lot of really small ones, because when you have one big sequence, something eventually, either the website will go down, or you will make a stupid mistake, or something will go wrong, and then you've got this whole mess that is just impossible to sort out. It's much easier to keep them short. So that's basically what I have. Yeah, all the questions. Yeah, maybe you've got.
All right, so my last question on this is, do you ever tend to get fans to respond to newsletters, like with polls or questions? And do you think there's any value to getting engagement from your newsletter subscribers?
Well, this is why I'm here. I'm a member of a community wind orchestra, commonly known as a band. But it's not good because we all sit down and we don't wear daggy marching uniforms, but we all play wind instruments. I play the flute. And at some point, about a year ago, we started talking about going to the US. And I thought, oh, that's cool. I might do a trip. And then I thought, oh, maybe I should look into booking some of this. And I had no idea what to do, where to go. So I asked my mailing list, if I want to go somewhere and the starting point is LA, where should I go? And I'm interested in nature, and I like seeing lots of rocks. And it's January, so it will be cold, and I'm not really a fan of snow, and I don't like skiing. what should I do? And then I found out that to ask 12,000 people a question like that actually resulted in a lot of emails. But I got this huge long list of all the things, and I went through and I Googled them, and then I could just make a route of all the things I wanted to see. And that's why I'm here. And I think, yeah, there is definitely, especially about another question I asked them, because the last book, the book that I'm going to release on the 15th, I just couldn't really find a good title. I had a title, but it was really lame, and I didn't like it. And so I asked Doc, this is what's in the book, what should I call it? And this is the formula I've used for previous volumes. And I got a lot of suggestions, and eventually I came up with something. So people really enjoy being involved in that. But yeah, do prepare to get a lot of email, a lot of email. But it's good because people like it.
Yeah, I've actually moved away from asking questions because you have to then answer all their emails. I tend to do it more on Facebook now because you just go like, you know, sometimes just give them all the answer. But if you have time, and if you were genuinely have a question like that, I do think the readers really enjoy it.
They do.
It's just once your list gets bigger, be prepared for work to.
I also have in the previous book in this particular series, books actually book 6 and 7, I have a character that's named after a reader. And so this is just really nice. People really enjoy that sort of stuff. And if they see you do it, I've now named two characters in books after real people. It's just a fun thing to do.
Yeah, I've done it on Facebook where I've asked them to name dragons and like throwaway characters. And then that character stuck around for 5 more books.
Yes, so. Yes.
And then, but they'll still remember, I'm the one guy named Theric. That was my name.
Yeah.
All right, I guess we're about wrapped up on our questions here. Do you want to tell people where they can find you online, and maybe like if they want to get involved in some of the promos you do if you're still trying to get new people in there?
Yes, well, you can find me on pattyjansen.com. The Facebook group, if you're interested in the promotions, the Facebook group that's associated with them is the what was it called? Marketing Bulletin, I think it's called. Do you remember?
I'm totally on there, but I'd have to go look too. I'll get it and put it in the show notes.
Okay,
I know I'm on there and
updates. I know it's
and it's like cross promotion bulletin.
Something like that. Also, SFF cross promotion bulletin. I can't remember the exact name of the group. So I have a new release on the 15th, which is the latest book in my Ambassador series, which is one of the 2 series that makes me most money. And then I will start on the Dragon Speaker series. I'm calling it a series because it may end up being 4 books instead of 3. I have no idea at this point in time. And that is actually a sequel to another series, but I'm writing it as if, you know, for new readers. I'll be doing that later, so that's the series that I'll be doing the experiment with, because it's pretty hard to promote a later book in an existing series. Yeah, that's pretty much it. If you want to know more about the self-publishing books, you can find those on my Amazon page or anywhere. They're called Self-Publishing Unboxed, Mailing Lists Unboxed, and Going Wide Unboxed, and they're pretty obvious in my profile on all the websites. You can get them everywhere.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'm publishing the 5th book in my trilogy pretty soon. So
yes,
that's how these things go in fantasy and sci-fi. But I will put the links in the show notes. I'm not on my usual computer here, so I don't know. I think we're episode 167 or something.
168.
168. Oh. All right, and come by marketingsff.com And I'll have all Patty's links, and you can, especially I'm sure you want to check out the promo sites, but maybe you want to buy a book from Patty too, if you, but especially the one we kind of titled the show after, the 3-year no bestseller plan to making it.
Yeah, well, that actually turned out, because I started writing that, and that actually turned into 3 books instead of just one, because I started off with writing the one about mailing lists, because that was what people wanted to know about. But then I found I had to go back and explain too much, so I put all that stuff in a beginner book.
All right, well, very cool. I hope people check it out. And thank you. There's a lot of great information today. We appreciated having you. And thanks for visiting Prescott. Nobody comes through here. Apparently, we were on the way from Sedona to Palm Springs. So.
Now you did it, Linda. You told everyone where you are.
On my Amazon page. Yes. They can stock it well.
It's actually much bigger than I thought. So Lindsay's not the only person here.
You have a hard time finding it. Yeah. There's even lots of trails, so you wouldn't know which ones. I'm walking my dogs. That's it for everyone. Thanks for listening, and we're glad we're back on YouTube. We had some chat questions today. That was nice of you guys to pop in there and watch live.
Yeah. Thanks for hanging out with us, Patty. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
So long, everybody.